As the Kavanaugh chaos continues, the bitter fight between Republicans and Democrats only gets worse. Senator Lindsey Graham, he's had enough. Watch.
You've humiliated this guy enough, and it's bottom for some of you. So why don't we dunk him in water and see if he floats? Maybe you'll believe he lied about how much he drank in high school, that he threw ice in a party, in a bar, or he doesn't have the temperament, that he didn't handle being destroyed well. Enough already. Let's vote.
He's the biggest tough guy in the Senate. Very impressive. Can anything be done to heal this partisan divide? Or have we reached the point of no return? Let me ask former Trump campaign manager, Great America PAC senior strategist, and author of Let Trump Be Trump. It is Corey Lewandowski. And obviously this week, we're letting Lindsey be Lindsey, aren't we?
Look, I'll tell you, Lindsey Graham has really demonstrated why he's a leader in the U.S. Senate from last week during that confirmation hearing where he chastised his Democrat colleagues for what they're doing to Brett Kavanaugh when he said who he voted for, Democrats who were appointed by Barack Obama, and he voted because they were qualified to be on the Supreme Court. And then what they've done to Brett Kavanaugh, I think, was a seminal moment in the confirmation hearing. What Lindsey Graham outlined and what he articulated was felt by the American people for what they've done to this man. And it was a unifying moment for Republicans across the country to stand up and say enough is enough. Let's get a vote for this man who deserves to be on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I do think certainly in the latter part of the day on those crazy hearings, I think that was a turning point for a lot of people. And Senator Graham expressed what many Republicans had been feeling throughout the process. Now, obviously, and this is no surprise, Republicans and Democrats come out of that skiff with completely different observations of the FBI report. Dianne Feinstein has said that the probe didn't go far enough, and it is an incomplete investigation. What would far enough be for Democrats?
Kennedy, it will never be far enough. As you know, they've already delayed this vote on Judge Kavanaugh once, so the FBI could go and do a background check, which would now be his 7th background check. So he's been through 6 full background checks, and now this one has taken place for an additional week. And now they're saying, well, it's not enough. It will never be enough. And what they're saying is, well, the investigation is incomplete. It's not incomplete. They just didn't get the evidence that the Democrats wanted. And what it seems to be, from what we're hearing, is that the FBI, according to Chairman Grassley, has shown no evidence whatsoever to support the accusations against Judge Kavanaugh, and that doesn't suit the narrative that the Democrats have.
Do you think the FBI should have interviewed Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford?
You know, look, I don't know what the standard procedures are, but I know this man has been through 6 background checks in the past, and I think that they have done a very thorough analysis. And what they clearly have found was no information that they thought that they need to continue on with, because if there was anything, the professionals at the FBI would have continued the investigation. They would not be rushed, and they would make sure it was thorough and accurate, which is what their job is. So the fact that they've now submitted this report to the White House and it's been turned over to the U.S. Senate for their review tells me the FBI is very confident in the information that they have found, or for that matter, have not found in this investigation. Will
Jeff Flake and Chris Coons ever be friends again?
Yeah, I don't think so. You know, it's amazing. Look, I think Jeff Flake is ultimately going to vote for Judge Kavanaugh because it's the right thing to do, and the man is completely qualified to be a Supreme Court justice. And I do believe that Senator Collins and Senator Murkowski will also vote for him because, look, what this has done to the detriment of the Democrats is this has completely unified the Republican Party. Those who were complacent maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now understand what is at stake. And if Judge Kavanaugh loses and he is voted down by the U.S. Senate, that is a precursor of what will come in the House of Representatives if the Democrats take over, which is impeachment proceedings against President Trump.
All right. So, I mean, obviously, if they do seriously talk about impeachment, that's another unifying factor for both Democrats and Republicans. I think Kavanaugh and looming impeachment does the same thing to both sides, which is very odd because when everyone is agitated and activated, everyone goes and votes. And then it really is a toss-up and no one knows what the outcome is going to be. If you could sit down with Judge Kavanaugh, because you are a political strategist, you are someone who has worked on branding and image polishing, what would you tell him about how to move on from this? Because it seems like the kind of thing that could haunt him for decades.
Well, I think the first thing, you have to think about the way the judge has raised his family and those two girls and what's at stake for them to remember long term. When the judge gave his opening statement and he mentioned how his 10-year-old daughter was praying for Dr. Ford, that was a very moving, very emotional part. And I think most importantly, regardless of he is confirmed as a Supreme Court justice or not, which I think he should be, he has to make sure his family stays strong throughout this, because that's the hardest part. Look, I've been through not what he's been through, but the slings and arrows I can take. I've got broad shoulders, but what it does to your family is much more difficult. And what I think he has now seen is the attacks, the unfounded attacks, and the questions of his character that his family will have to deal with forever. But I know he's a good man, and you look at his record of coaching his girls' basketball team and feeding the homeless, and his track record in Washington, D.C. of being a fair, honest individual, and that's what he should be judged on, not these baseless allegations.
All right, Corey Lewandowski, thanks so much.